$5,000. Cash payment to anyone who can prove that what lying son of a devil Farrakhan is preaching is consistent with the lessons, supreme wisdom, of Master Fard Muhammad Elijah Muhammad's representation of his teacher Master Fard's teachings.
Assalamu alaikum, sisters and brothers. Sulman Rahim here, Messenger of the Covenant. We got 7 seals. Well, I thought I'd see if I could finish up the series I started. I promised I would do this. Let me finish, see if I can finish it up today. While I decide whether I'm going to continue or not. I have a decision. I'm thinking about it. And the decision may be made for me because things are moving fast, brothers and sisters. Things move very fast. But anyway, it's $5,000. No one stepped up to it, and that tells a lot right there. It speaks a lot right there. We're going to talk about these demons. Let's see if I can illuminate the idea of these demons. Right? It says that is the primary problem that the Levites have right now. It's these demons. He says, Elijah couldn't cast them out. He had to teach the both. He said, no, lead them alone. You go and teach the both of them. The messenger of the covenant, he will come. He has to do it. Because they was too powerful even for, because Elijah didn't recognize them. He had to recognize them to get rid of them. Obviously, he didn't recognize them because the chief demon was one of his ministers. You see it in a minute.
Do you then believe in a part of the book and disbelieve in the other? Do you then believe in a $5,000. Cash payment to anyone who can prove that what lying son of a devil Farrakhan is preaching is consistent with the lessons, supreme wisdom, of Master Fard Muhammad Elijah Muhammad's representation of his teacher Master Fard's teachings. Do you then believe in a part of the book and disbelieve in the other? What then is the reward of such among you as do this but disgrace in the life of this world, and on the day of resurrection they shall be sent back to the most grievous chastisement. And Allah is not heedless of what you do. 86 These are they who buy the life of this world for the hereafter, so their chastisement shall not be lightened, nor shall they be helped.
They're guilty of that 100%, brothers and sisters. All you got to do is pay attention. No one's paying attention, are they? You will in a minute. Unfortunately, it's going to hurt some of you because you're not going to be prepared for it. They're coming on strong. You're not going to be playing. These beasts that come on strong. You see what they're doing now? I mean, have you paying attention? You depend on the Lord to protect you. Isn't Mr. Trump sure your Lord don't mean a goddamn thing? What he's doing? He's totally outlaw. America's always been outlaw, but now they're open with it. He's going to kill the people down there, totally, and no one's doing anything about it. He disregard international law, and then you got false system. What they're doing over there? It's killing people, and no one's doing anything about it. Nothing. Not even their own people. You understand what time it is? You ever seen anything like that? Lord, there's no law that's going to protect you. They're going to throw the law out the window. It's open warfare now. It just hasn't got that hot yet. It's hot. It's getting hotter every minute. Oh, man, it's still hot, yeah. Well, right? Stung you. Wait till it burns you. Wait till your fingers on inflamed. If you still run around waiting, yeah, that's what's going to happen. They're going to set you on fire. It's not a joke. Ask people over in Gaza, is it a joke? What's happening now? And you hear what's happening in Sudan? The blood's starting to flow. Every day you ever heard any good news? How long? How long have you heard any good news? They promise all this stuff. America has no word in anything. It's deception, open deception. They say, yeah, we're going to do this. And they're open deception. And the media is totally on board. And the courts are doing nothing. He's breaking all the laws. The courts are doing nothing. You don't know what that means? They got a race war going over there. And who's doing that race war? America's doing it. They just have falsehoods pulling the trigger. And they hate you more than hate them. They got a race war going over there, and they're putting armies around your cities. And you have no idea. And who's going to protect you? Farrakhan? He's going to stay here. Don't pay attention to it. Okay. So one brother says, I'm going to keep this short if I can. See? Demons? This clown over here? Here we go again, so let me get over with. Excuse my what's off. It's open warfare. I told you it's mental, but now it's turning physical. Nobody's ever seen in your lifetime seen nothing like what's going on in God. It says much worse than they even telling you. They're trying to suppress the videos and stuff. We're actually burning up children. Literally burning up children over there. Then Sudan's, right? The Arabs involved now because they've got Arab, I think Arab Emirates is back in that. Boy, they say that's even worse than what's going on in Gaza. They got a religious war going over there. They got a race war going over there. And what they got going in Russia? Political war. I mean, it's raging. And they say what's there is coming here. And it's already here. Look, the government shut down. Total confusion. Look, all assassinations and also every day look around, mass murder. You know what I mean? Has anything gotten better? Nothing. And then most of it, you're getting half of it. Let's move on.
I gotta do this. Do you mind? Yes, I'm gonna do something. I don't want to put my brother on the spot. See, this is this. This is something else. Love and faith transcends color. And the reason why we embrace Father Flager as a brother is because we find him on the battlefield of justice, being a true disciple of Jesus. And the last thing I'll say is, you'll never call us racist.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because this day that we honor,
Yes, sir.
Master Fard Muhammad, if you see an image of him, put his image up.
Yes, sir.
That's the man whose father was a black man and his mother a Caucasian. And how many of us have a parent that's a Caucasian or grandparent? It's not about color. It's about our submission to the will of God. And in that we find common ground and unity.
Yes, sir.
So I'm only one shade lighter than you, so. And Mustafa may be 4 more shades lighter. We a family.
Yes, sir.
Let's stay a family and be a family and love each other as God would have us to love each other. We love you, Father. Happy Savior's Day. Thank you. I had to do that. We love you. Go ahead.
One more time, brother.
It's bullshit. Total bullshit. There's no representation of Elijah Muhammad's teaching whatsoever. Zero. Elijah Muhammad could have stroke. He would. I guarantee it. Let's move on, brothers and sisters. Okay. What about these demons? Well, let me cover a couple things. Now, this is a passage from the Quran. Whatever mess we abrogate or cause to be forgotten, bring one better or one lack it. North lies, but that's a powerful thing. There's 2 powerful statements there. It's saying a message we broke it, in other words, old messages. Look at what abrogate means. They're telling you old scriptures, right? What it says, see what's the title of it? Previous scriptures are abrogated. They're telling you what the sense of what they mean, because you read it, they translate it, but it's titled up there trying to give you the sense of what it's saying here. Previous scripture abrogated. That's what we tell all the time. Where's the scripture of Abraham at? Where's scripture? Because the Quran is abrogated now. It's time for a new season. So it says, whatever we broke, whatever abrogate or we cause forgotten, right? Scripture said we get away with, we bring one better than it. Because for the updated, it says right there in the Quran. There's no thing it says right there, right? Knowest thou not thou lies, but possesseth powerful all things. See, we don't pay attention to these things. These things are very powerful statements. I tell you, I pay attention to everything, every word. Because if you apply it to Farrakhan, then he says a lie. He willed Farrakhan had that cancer. Willed to have it. Why would he do that? That's not recoverable from him. That's a curse. I cursed him. So it's him right there. Power over all things, not something over all things. So he caused that to happen. He said, be and it is. Farrakhan's ass got blown up. Why would he do it to him? He's anointed. He loved him so much. He told him, according to Farrakhan, he told me he would protect him. Protect him from what? Protect him having an ass? They ain't got an ass anymore. Well, maybe that's a good thing. Pay attention to these things, brothers and sisters. You will one day. You will one day. It's amazing because, when I was younger, yeah, I say young, because I ain't younger. Well, I'm not young now. 76 years old, right? I'm going to be home by the time I get 77, which is very soon. I was a person that paid close attention to detail. I had to remake myself to get do this. Because you got to pay attention to detail to get into the injury and get to the scripture. I wasn't a person that paid attention to detail. I wasn't a detailed person. I was like the big picture person. Right? I was always after the big picture. So these things I had to do to get this job done with one brother and sisters. The demons, legion. I talked about this earlier, so Louis Eugene, he said his name is Louis Eugene, he says his name is Louis Eugene Walcott. And if you understand what he says, his history, Walcott was his stepfather. He was named Eugene, his stepfather's name was Eugene Walcott. The stepfather, so that's not really his actual, if you to go by natural means, right? That's not his real last name. His name would be, the last name of his actual father, or his mother's maiden name. And his father's name, that was Clark. And he states it, if you read that presentation he gave, right, when he gave an interview, right, he said his mother's name was Sarah Mae Clark, that was the name. Clark was the name of the man that he claimed raped her. Why did she pick his last name? That's a question altogether. So that means, but if you look, see, that means that her last name is Clark. But if you really look, and I did initially, when I looked at this, they said her name was Sarah Mae Grounds. And after I started putting this out, all of a sudden back there, they came with some other name, Sarah Mae something else. And there was a Sarah Mae Grounds, but she was a white lady in Texas, so that's not story together. Anyway, Louis Eugene Grounds, the NOI backwards. That's exactly what it is. Move on. What he did. He is what he's done.
3. I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me, for I will tread them in mine anger, and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. For the day of vengeance is in mine heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. 5. And I looked, and there was none to help, and I wondered that there was none to uphold, therefore mine own arm brought salvation unto me, and my fury, it upheld me. 6. And I will tread down the people in mine anger, and make them drunk in my fury, and I will bring down their strength to the earth.
He's talking about Suleiman, so he'd walk alone. It wouldn't be until the 4 winds blew that he was able to resurrect out of Lazarus, the Levites. And the Bible is primarily all about the Levites. The struggle with the Levites, the struggle they're going through. And we're going to go into more detail about that in a minute. But it says he walked alone. He was the first resurrected from the dead ones. And so he had to be an example for them to follow. Because he's the one that got the key. Remember, he's the Ancient of Days. He's the one that's got the key to get home. Got to be in the Lamb's Book of Life. Got to wash your robes in the blood of the Lamb. He's the door in. He's the door to the hereafter. So you can't get the Father but through me. Is that what it says? Who's the Father? Master Muhammad. That's where Suleiman comes from. It doesn't mean the Son of a Man. That's Elijah said. He made, it didn't say he had. It says in the lesson he didn't have it all the way right. Suleiman, son of man. Son, Oman. That's where it comes from. If you understand that, you understand the Father is David. David's the one that took down Goliath of Israel. And so and so. He's the Father. And Suleiman's the son. Says Suleiman's the wisest man ever lived. But see, these little things you don't pay attention to and you understand. That's where Suleiman comes from. Son of man. And first of all, he said he was dark with black skin. Dark with black skin. Dark skin with woolly hair. That's not Master Muhammad. It's not Farrakhan. Because how you could say they're son of man when it gives you a scripture and it doesn't fit either one of them. Not taking anything from Master Muhammad. He's the God. He's the God of the spring. That's why I call him a derivative God, which you probably don't say. I have no idea what that meant. But he's the God of the spring. And now the spring is coming in and the winter is being terminated. This morning. These stairs, you got to climb. Nobody's going to put up these stairs, brothers and sisters. You have to climb them up. Well, I'm not going to get into this, brothers and sisters, but we have 3 groups here. They call ourselves blacks. I'm not including the elect here. Demons, the Levites that's on the fence, that still cling this world's life. Allah will lift you up. If He will lift you up, that means you're not one of the demons. See little things like that there? That means you want His people, you want to see Abraham. Those ones He want to lift up. Cling to, so you're stuck right there. You're staring. You ain't doing anything. And then the ones lifted up. The ones He's not going to lift up on the earth, that's the demons. The ones He will lift up, but they cling to the earth. See how the stuff just falls into place, brothers and sisters? And then the ones that's not clinging, lift it up. So that means that they got, I keep telling you, Levites 2 categories. Says, if you love this world's life, there's no portion hereafter. It means they're still clinging to this. That's why they can't be lifted up. They're clinging. They're doing it themselves. You got to let go to get lifted up. I'm going into some detail here, brother, but I'm not going to be long. I don't intend to be. Okay, let's stop right here. Well, let's back up here. Now, a couple of things here. It says, beware of wolves in sheep clothing. They didn't say beware of cows in sheep clothing. Wolves in cows' clothing. I'm all tongue-tied about this. I'm tired, really. Excuse me. I want to get this done tonight because I got a decision to make. I want to get this out the way. He said, beware of wolves in cows' clothing. He said, who's the sheep? You know, just put this out there. Who's the sheep? Sheep represents the Levites. They're the sheep. So why I tell you? Because there will be wolves amongst them. Wolves amongst them. You see what I'm saying? There will be wolves amongst them. And that'll be their primary problem. Because that's why Master Muhammad says, see, I was told he wasn't able to recognize them. He said, man, somebody put chaff amongst the wheat. He said, no, you can't separate them. And we know he didn't recognize him because the chief demon is his minister. He chose him as a minister. He didn't recognize the demons. In fact, I don't think he ever talked about demons. I don't see anything mentioned of black man, anything. Or if he mentioned demons, he wasn't wise enough to recognize demons. You don't hear any, in fact, you don't hear any so-called people claiming they were Elijah, whatever, talking about demons. I want you to explain. I'll tell you who they are. Half devil, half man. But it says, right? It talks about them in Mark. And the legion was a demon. It follows the devil. It said, beware of wolves in sheep clothing. That means it's talking to the sheep. That means you got, and they mixed in, right? They mixed in with you, and that's what's causing you all your problems. That's causing you your primary problem. Because Elijah was able to identify devils. Farrakhan dismissed that too. Elijah was able to identify devils, but he never spoke on demons. He says, you can't do it. He said, it would take Son of Man to do that. Still mine. And it tells you that. It says, who the Lord will consume and spit his mouth and destroy the brightness that was coming. And it also tells you that in Malachi. So that was the problem they'd be having, is they couldn't recognize, because that's what I'm saying. They're on their left hand from their right. That would hold up. Because they're confused. They think that's their brothers. And you got lying Farrakhan telling you what the devil's your brothers do. He's trying to even further confuse you. Then we just bullshit with us right now. Father says our brother. See the confusion? So there it is right there. Talking to you, it says you would be in that condition. That's what's holding you down right now. The confusion. That's why Superman had to come and separate them out. And then you see the same thing in it. You see it's all over the place if you paid attention to it. You see it right next to us. And we know the Levites, they're the sheep. If you didn't get to that, you get it right next to us right there, because what happened? Moses came and it went to Aaron's in charge, at Aaron's place, right? And said, those with the Lord, come with me. So he separated the Levites out. So that shows you they're the sheep. So what was left? The wolves. The sheep clothing, and Aaron was left with them, because they said all the Levites came. That means all the Levites are the sheep. But they was mixed in, seeking the message of the covenant, because that's why they was beating themselves, because something was wrong. As soon as they would be seeking the message of the covenant, but as soon as the light, whatever happened, they didn't recognize through their mind, their nature did. They can run into him. Once they was able to identify him, not mentally, because that's what they got once they got to him. But they still had their nature. They still had their nature. The nature wasn't gone, it was just suppressed. Their nature identified, and once that was, they hurried. Sometimes I feel a little bad about the Levites, but I say, well, he's so hard on them. I said, yeah, because I'm trying to get into, especially for these sisters, to avoid tribulation if possible. But at this point, it's not possible. Because they got their dead nature. It's still intact. They got a good nature. Because they ran to him. They didn't just walk slowly. They ran. Their mouth was all messed up. They recognized it. So yeah, so what was holding them up? Legion was. Come with his lies and stuff. Because as soon as they saw him, they jumped. Hey, what you doing, man? Read Mark, what you doing? What you doing? You're messing my thing up here. And then another place I think in Mark, Luke, one of them says, they say, hey, wait a minute, ain't your time? What you doing? It's not time yet. Why are you tormenting us? Oh, no, it says it did Mark too. Because I said, why are you tormenting me? Remember, said, who the Lord was consumed with spirit of his mouth. That's me. He was tormenting them. Why are you tormenting me? Then he got on his knees. He talked tough at first. And they're going, oh, please, please, don't make me leave the country. Ain't that what Farrakhan says? I don't want to go here. Ain't that what he said? It's just so clear, bro. It's just like scriptures just come out HD. Ain't that what Farrakhan? I want to go nowhere. I want to leave it. That's exactly what Legion says. Don't make me leave the country. I'm going to stay here with swine, devils. That's exactly what it's saying. How can you miss it? I'm saying it's easy to identify who the demons are because they're still buying that stuff because they can't understand what I'm saying. They can't understand it. It's confusing them because they can't see the second floor. They only know it's the first floor. If you're a first dimensional person, second dimension don't even exist to you. What second dimension is that? Nothing about second dimension don't even exist. No, they don't understand what I'm saying. I don't want to make it simple. I know they're not going to understand. They might get a hint. That's why it says in the book, Esau said, do not give your pearls to swine because they're stumbling the ground, come after you. They figure it out. Be very careful. I don't wake them up. You understand, brothers and sisters? That's what's going on. It's so clear. He says, don't make me leave the country. That's what Farrakhan said, right? He was there with the swine. And then I told you what happens. Then the swine got to fighting. They run off the cliff. They got told they can go to war once they separate from us. And then where it says here, and then the Levites, the priests that got their mind back, then they go back, sent back to get the rest of them. That's the tribulation. It's right there. Same thing, same story. So right now we got this. These are the ones clinging to the earth. The wolves got them, eating them up. He was able to identify and get the hell away from them. They ain't cling to the earth, so they being lifted up. He's hanging on to earth, they getting their ass bit, and they can't understand why things ain't going right for them. Wolves eating their ass up, and they can't understand it. Why you eating me? Why you doing it to me? Because I'm a wolf. In my story was the woman and the snake by Ramsey, wasn't it? Something, what was that, Ramsey? Lewis, what's his name? Something, he's a singer, right? Ramsey? I can't think. Anyway, the story in Chicago, woman and a snake. So the thing is, she's walking down the beach, right? Some ram something. Anyway, and she sees a snake, it's frozen. So she feels sorry for a snake, pick the snake up, take it home, put it by the fireplace, snake warms up. You know, crawling around what they do with it, right? And then, so she goes, she picks the snake up, snake immediately bites her. Right there. All that poison in her. And while she's going down, she's looking at the snake all pitiful. Well, why are you doing it? Snake said, I'm just being a snake. You know, a snake, you pick me up. That's exactly what the lesson say. You gotta get rid of them. All of them, they're 100% wicked. I said, well, he's smarter than the God that he claims he represents. He said, read the lesson. It says they're 100% wicked. They cannot be reformed. They're a snake, and if you don't get rid of them, they'll bite somebody else. That's the ones in the middle. They see overcome with. They don't get it. So they fall in with Silas and Royal and you forget about Farrakhan and Bennett, all these people. So you see them, they scratching their head, looking at what's going on. And you got them just stare at you. Who are my brothers and sisters? That situation in. And the demons, that's why it says he had to go back the demons. Get the demons out. But that's what was tripping up the Levites. It was demons. You can't leave the demons off. You can't leave Levi's 12 off the hook here. Because the information about 35 years and some of, there's other reasons. Well, that's primary reason right there. Right? But let me move that along because I'm getting too complicated here. But the point is that's the primary reason. It's all other kind of little things that you can think about. Okay, or they see it, but ooh, they hear the truth, right? You find the gym, but man, that's too much work, man. I don't it's, living that way, man. It's too. See what I'm saying? They see it, but they don't want to put the effort in, right, to benefit from it. You got some of that too. And that's why Master Muhammad's going to action and cut all this off. Cut what they clinging to. There's nothing to cling to. And see if they step up then. Some of them might, some might not. We'll see. Okay, let's go ahead. Now talk about this. Seasons. See, people don't pay attention to these things. Seasons. 6,000. Why is it 6,000 years? They don't just stood out there. Because that's a season, but they don't tell it to you like that. Because you got to study and understand. So there's 4 seasons every cycle. Each one 6,000 years. 6, 6, 6, 6. That's right. That's 24,000. But they said the full cycle is probably 24,000 years. And we got this is the worst season ever, the worst winter ever. And so we had to find we couldn't be successful in the winter. So we had to make a man that could deal in the winter. So they made the devils. They love the winter. They're mobile in the winter. They're successful in the winter. But in the winter, man, there's not too much stuff growing, not much food around and stuff, right? Things are very thin. But you need to be warm. You need food. So you got to run to them. They can control. So now this whole system, democracy, capitalism, all that kind of stuff is based on the winter season. This stuff is very simple when you think about it. But those systems, that's why they're failing now. Democracy. There's no democracy in America, especially for all these secrets. You can't have secrets in democracy. It's failing. Why? Because they're moving into the spring. It's failing. That will not work. Capitalism will not work. Capitalism work if there's not that much food. Somebody got control of it. So now you got to work for them to get the food. Slavery, the same thing. If there's food everywhere, how can you slave somebody? There's wrong. There's food. They don't need you. There's food everywhere. But when it's scarce, you don't have much. So capitalism, democracy, and religion, no consequence, all that kind of stuff, right? Christianity, all that. Those are ideologies. There, mentalities or the minds, right, of winter season. But now moving spring, it'd be a whole new concept. One body, equality, no capitalism, freedom, life. And then going to spring, going to summer is even more better. It's even better for us. Spring is really out throwing out. See, because summer is for us. So we need somebody to rule during the spring. It's half winter, half summer. That's Prophet Muhammad. He ruled the next 6,000 years. Very simple, brothers and sisters. We think about it. Make sure I don't get myself in trouble here. Understand, brothers and sisters? I tell you what, see, I make so simple. That's why you have to have a master mind. You have somebody to rule in transition. That's why I call him derivative God, transition God. Call him that too. He's half winter, half summer. But the better half is the summer because then we move it towards the summer. If the other way around, they would be going the other way, right? If his father was the devil and his mother was original, they'd be going the other way. Maybe that's what Yaakov was. I don't know. You understand what I'm saying? Because they say, when I'm trying to get distracted. I'm trying to show you these things so simple. You just move on. And then again, now you're 50,000 years ago, less energy, less be able to think, less able to move, less able to do everything. It takes energy for everything. So we couldn't maintain, we have enough energy to maintain the mental level, so people descend into religion, trying to explain how things work. Descend into religion. Let me fix something else. I see something here that shouldn't be like this. No, you don't know what it is, but I'm not going to tell you. I'm just going to fix it. No, that's a little better. I'll leave it like that. I don't know why it didn't show like that before. And, oh, okay, that's good for now. Yeah, that's good for now. And now you have to know how to, if you're talking about you saying you want to be a God, or you think you're God, you're not God till you understand how your kingdom works, how the reality works, how the universe works. And first, our reality is based on pressure. I mean, some of it is obvious. The atmosphere, or your body functions on pressure, blood pressure, you pump, ready breathing, pump. Your reproductive system, blood pressure, whole system depends on pressure. Well, reality is based on mathematical pressure, period. And it was the fundamental principle. A reaction has opposite reaction. That's the fundamental principle. Right? So, action, reaction. Vectors. You have to understand pressure. That's our reality. Vectors is the fundamental principle. That's what pressure is. Pressure is just force. Force is the fundamental principle. Action, reaction, that's force. Without force, is nothing. That's where force works. Vectors is the size of force. Pressure is force. All the other stuff is force too. It's just different force, different. Pressure is a force. It's comprehensive force. If you put it that way. And then what's the tool to work with force? So you need a certain tool to work with cars. Certain tool to work with. Anyway, so what's the tool? Mathematical tool. Everything is mathematics. Calculus. All these things are simple. Vectors: a squared plus b squared plus c squared. That's the law of vectors. Law of pressure. Collision, velocity. Collisions, volume, and temperature. Three work together. Calculus, right? Derivatives. Let me show you that. And that fundamental is come out force. Levels of it. Basic. I'm giving just basics. Those things you have to, and they're very simple principles. The thing is that if you're a gorilla, they're super complicated to you. And we've been dumbed down, our brains so dumbed down. This is the nature of the universe. These principles we use to control the universe. We use math to control the universe. That's what devils using to control us. But they're using this basic math, simple math. But this is the primary math right here. You build on this. This is math the universe operates on. Simple. All scriptures based on this. I can show you all these things. I told you all the scriptures are mathematical. The angels mathematics. They won't tell you that way. That's what it is. And all these, you find these principles over and over again. If you understand this, you could be fooled by somebody like Farrakhan. He telling you if there's if there's an action, you should blame the reaction. You should blame the reaction, not the action. That's what he's telling you. We should blame how we react to what devils did to us. We should be at fault. We should be to blame for what they did to us. No, not them. They're the action. We just the reaction. You see, leaves blowing, you should blame the leaves for blowing. No, you blame the wind for blowing the leaves. All you see is a reaction to it. But he wants to blame the leaves. Then he's the accuser, he's a liar, because he's part of it. See, once you understand base man, you say, right away you're gonna fool by some dog like that. Anyway, let's move on. I'm gonna keep this. I didn't mean to get this far into it anyway. And then here was the sixth step. If we went, nobody paid attention to this here. I never heard Elijah speak to it directly. I was only with him for 5 years, so I can't say what he said. He said a lot of stuff before I got there I wasn't aware of. I know a lot of bros. I've met some of the old timers. They told me some stuff, right? The way that he talked a whole lot different in the early days too. He threw a couple of F words out there, according to them. Anyway, that's the way he talked back then. So, anyway, another story. Anyway, if we die, if 6,000 years, we down at zero, that means that we got 6,000 more years to get back up to where we were. So we need a transition team. That's Master Muhammad. He's going to rule for the next 6,000 years. This is spring. We down here. All down in the depth of winter. So now spring's coming in. He's going to rule during spring and then boom. We get back to the summer. Every way you look at it comes up the same thing, brothers and sisters. Opposition. And let me speak to this, and I'll get to it and then close. Excess. Excess is so clear. You don't need to enjoy. See, these things are so clear. But it's going to be very confused to the demons. It may be clear to you, but they really don't. They don't understand this. They don't lack it. Emotional level, they can get it. Why? Because it's hurting them. It's causing problems for them. They're losing people. Why losing that stuff over there, man? Why? They don't understand it. Remember, they had the angel for 2,000 years and didn't touch it. You understand? So they can't understand the angel, but they feel it. Because the angels burn their ass up. They can't hear, but they're going to feel it. When they start feeling, they're going to fight back. They're fighting back now. They are feeling the angel. That's why they're closing in on you. Again, this is what the angel says. And if you pay attention, this is what Exodus says. Exodus. Read what Exodus says. People getting out of here. We ain't going nowhere. Well, he's calling God lies, calling Elijah Muhammad liar, the whole thing, right? Exodus, right in the X and U.S. Exodus, the U.S. I mean, I can be clearer than that. But if Master I see that's why you got to pay attention to things. If he had just showed up, he didn't say anything about the mother plane, they would say, well, how can he call himself a god? Okay, he's a god, yeah, but how could you just have to know you call him a god? Because the person you call a god is somebody that can control this environment, control your environment. That's what you call God. If he can't call God, what the hell you call him God for? He can rule. He can take control of your reality. And so Master Muhammad come and show that he could do that, and that plane can do that because it's far spirit than they got. So that's where he showed up. Show Elijah Muhammad that. Okay, he's God. He didn't come with this. He couldn't be calling him a God. So somebody showed up, just called himself a God. They raised Elijah. Elijah said he wanted a spokesman. He said he was against it. He got read it. He was physically angry. Said, Elijah, you don't need him. I got you. He insisted, so he got him with the mouth. He was not anointed. Uh-oh, what happened here? Uh-oh. There you go. He claims he was anointed. He wasn't. Read it. He wasn't anointed. The God was against him and got angry. Elijah didn't want him. He wasn't anointed. The God was against it. Anyway, that's the mouth, Farrakhan. See, he's a demon. His father's the devil. He missed it. We got him on tape saying it. His mother said it was the devil raped her. She said devil was a Caucasian man. So he's the father. He not see Abraham. He see the devil. Elijah Muhammad didn't recognize him, or they would never made him his top minister. That shows right there. He didn't recognize demons because he didn't recognize Farrakhan. He might have got a hint of him later on when he said he'd be his worst hypocrite. Well, he could, but the point is, Elijah. Remember, Elijah is in Exodus. He's in Malachi, so he would know that if he left the person after him, he knew that would be Aaron, and Aaron would be a hypocrite. That's where he's coming from. Where he said, "You would be my worst hypocrite," because that's what Exodus says. Aaron would be his worst hypocrite. Aaron's a hypocrite in Elijah's absence. Just read it. But they stop you right there. They stop you right there. They don't go. They just talk about Aaron when he was with Elijah. They don't talk about Aaron when he's not with Elijah because he's a total hypocrite. And they stop right there. And Exodus doesn't stop there because they have to go to another step. It goes to Joshua. That's a big deal. I need to talk about that more, but I like to do it today. I've been talking about it more and more lately. Joshua is the messenger of the covenant. He's going to take you home. Read of Joshua. He's the one to take you home. He's one of the gods he would be with, and nobody could fuck with him. Because God would be on him. That's the one, read it. So I'll be with you just like I was with Moses. And they only talk about Aaron. They passed it from Elijah, Moses, straight there. What happened to Aaron? He died in the wilderness. He didn't get out of there. He's a robber. In Malachi, you got 4 people. You got the God, you got Elijah, who would pay away the message of the covenant, which they never talk about, the message of the covenant. They never talk about Joshua. They never talk about the covenant, which is return home. They never talk any of those things. Why? Perhaps because they don't make sense to them. Because they're demons. That's not for them anyway. It's for the seed of Abraham. That's all any of those. But you got, and then you got somebody that's robbing the nation, cursed with a curse. Now when it comes to, if you take Aaron out, take Farrakhan out of the picture, take him out of the picture, throw out the picture, and talk to any man, any place on the planet. I don't care if it's green, orange, right? Purple, whatever. And say, what would you consider the worst curse that come upon you? I guarantee you, they'll tell you, oh man, if I lost my manhood and my youth, 55 is youth. They'll tell you, man. And that's what happened to Farrakhan. He wasn't protected. He was cursed. That stuff ripped out at 55. They put caps up his ass, blew his ass up. Now he's pissing his shit in the bag since he's 55. And now he's incontinent. He only can't wipe his own ass. And they have to watch because he's confused when he get hungry. He confusing the stuff in the bag for food. He's shitting in. That's why I don't get no picture of anything of him. He's pathetic, but he's the Messiah. But that's Exodus right there. That's not the version they give you, but that's what you read. That's exactly what the Exodus says. I'm not adding and subtracting. I don't have to embellish. It's clear. That's exactly what Exodus says. Exactly. How come you don't see it? Well, most you don't see it because you can't see it because you're blind. You can show pictures all you want to a blind person, and he ain't gonna see it. So what they come up with? Bam! Destroy the whole idea of Elijah. That's what Wallace did. His son saw that became credibility. And show the whole idea about there's a UFOs around there. That's the government. Remember, that's what the government is on this. So therefore, if there's no such thing as UFOs, and he ain't no God, so we ain't got to worry about him. He ain't nothing. And Elijah, nothing. In fact, he even said, Farad is a trickster. And Elijah was a liar. That's the own son saying that. That's their version. That's what he did. He destroyed everything Elijah ever destroyed all. So he got rid of Elijah. Based on what he was doing, there wouldn't be no Elijah. No Nation of Islam and nothing. He could destroy it all. So name everything. And Matron ain't no God. He ain't got no power. If you don't have a mother, he ain't no power. Why are you going to worship and praise somebody who don't have any power? There's somebody walking around. And then what? And then now he's the Messiah. Where's Joshua in this picture? Ain't there? He's the Messiah. He's the Christ. Sitting in Elijah's temple saying, I'm the one. But now he's shitting and pissing in the bag. See? And then what he does? He said he would rise with healing in his wings, right? So he said, okay, see, Scientology. See, I'm healing you. Because that's what they claim. Those with him claim that Scientology would heal them. Well, that's L. Ron Hubbard. I'm not even getting to that. L. Ron Hubbard. Say worshiping him. He healed them with Scientology. And then he give me Sunniism, which goes to Catholic, if you understand the Injil. And then you cut, and Sunni and Scientology is just modern day Catholicism. Look at this symbol. Move on, brothers and sisters. Okay? And this is going to be the battle between us and when this war resumes in the Middle East. It's going to be a battle between, that's where we're going to be separated. There's going to be a battle between us and the demons. Okay? They really behind the cross. They really worship the cross. Remember Farrakhan, when he says, we Christians, he meant that. It wasn't figuratively. And let's move on, brothers and sisters. Yep. Okay, then where are we at here? Okay, I'm not going to get through all this. I was hoping I could. Maybe I have to do it tomorrow. Let's do a couple of them. Armageddon's a European war. Remember, Farrakhan says, they said, if somebody says something doesn't come to pass, you listen to him. Well, he claimed Armageddon to start. Oh, here we go. Oh, brothers, hold on for a minute. Hold on for a second here. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm not going to get through all this, brothers. I was hoping I could, but I can't. But something I have to get done. Come on. Come on. Okay, here we go. Oh, man, come on. Armageddon's a European war. Farrakhan declared Armageddon started, 3 years ago? It's going to spread all over? I said, no, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. The war in the Middle East is going to ignite. And that's going to cause Armageddon. Is any Armageddon anywhere? So according to what Ishmael said, we shouldn't be listening to Farrakhan at all. Right? And that's what he said. If it doesn't come to pass, you see any Armageddon? Anyway, it's a European war. It's not a global war. It's a European war. Okay? America at war in Europe. Armageddon East will accommodate America at war in Europe, and Armageddon East will accommodate all American or reserve to field armies in battle in Europe. So what happens is when the war resumes there, Iran is going to take. It's going to be they're going to take down false Israel. It's going to be a battle between. They're going to take down false Israel. It's going to put it on siege, and there's going to be a bloodbath there. And they're going to leave it to the Palestinians. They leave it on siege, and they're going to be a bloodbath. They're going to return to cannibalism. They're not be able to use their nuclear weapons. And what they're doing to God is going to be returned to them in spades. It's going to be a ocean of blood in Jerusalem on the false Israel. No one's going to help them. They will not be escaped. So if you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, it's destruction is near. Secondly, the Sunnis is going to step up and try to help false Israel Because they're going to fight against the Shia. Remember? Iran Shia. It could be a Shia Sunni battle, which is going to be a bloodbath. The sands of Arabia is going to be soaked with blood. Soaked with blood. They're going to, them Sunnis going to go crazy over there. They're going to be defeated. They're all going to rise up. Assad and the Egyptian Sunnis, they're going to back Iran. But like other ones, Jordan and Emirates and all that, rise up. It's going to be a bloodbath between the Shia and the Sunni, like we've never seen before. Sands of Arabia, that's the sands of Arabia is going to be soaked with blood, the bloodbath. That's it. Men's heart be filled with fear. Those things come upon earth because the powers of heaven be shaken. It's going to be religious war. Religious war. Ran in West Israel, race war. Right? Okay. And then, right, America and God to make God going to be trying to assist the Sunni. They're going to get their ass torn up. They're going to be blown apart. They're going to be running out. Tracks of blood. They'll be bloody, really bloody. They get caught. They don't run. They don't run out. Their ass on fire. That's why it says in chapter 12. It says they're thrown out. Thrown out of heaven. One heaven broke out. Michael's angels fought against Dragon's angels. It's on fire. Back to Europe. That's what's going to trigger Armageddon. Because Armageddon in Europe, between Russia, the EU, against America. The EU, Europeans are NATO right now. They're going to turn on America. America had 10,000 troops over in the Middle East, in Europe, that they're going to turn on them. Because they're going to blame, Europe's going to blame America for this situation. Because when Iran cut off, they're going to cut off all oil from Europe. Europe has no source for oil. They used to have a source of oil from Russia, which America terminated that. So now they sit there, their economies collapsed. Chapter 18, their economies totally collapsed. The only source of oil they could possibly have, they can't get from the Middle East. They've got their ass whipped over there. Russia, they are not, okay, make nice for Russia. Now they ally Russia, and that's Armageddon. Armageddon East. Over in Europe. That's why Quran says some shall surge against others. Right? Down in Europe, that's the real triggered by war. And there will be no nuclear war, brothers. That's why the wheels are there to make sure it don't happen. But there will be, America will be nuked. But that's it. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there, brothers and sisters. That's Armageddon. Armageddon East. And we're talking about Armageddon West next. Armageddon. It's Armageddon. Then we got Armageddon East and Armageddon West. Let me check something if I'm at. Maybe I might have a couple of minutes here, brothers and sisters. I don't think so. And I'm just leaving it anyway, brothers and sisters. Hopefully, I can finish up tomorrow. While I decide. I'll make my decision tomorrow. If you understand, brothers, I'm gonna leave it there. Assalamu alaikum.
illegally. We have a lot of that going on, but we're taking care of our farmers. We can't let our farmers not have anybody. These are these people that you can't replace them very easily. People that live in the inner city are not doing that work. They're just not doing that work. And they've tried, we've tried, everybody tried. They don't do it. These people do it naturally. I said, what happens if they get it to a farmer the other day? What happens if they get a bad back? He said, they don't get a bad back, sir, because if they get a bad back, they die. I said, that's interesting, isn't it?
Well, you heard that. Donald Trump is a believer in eugenics. He believes that white people are the superior race. And inner city is code for black people. And he believes black people cannot now work on the farms. I guess they're not good enough for that. So Hispanic people can do it because they have the backs for it. This is what this man is saying out loud in interviews. He is a racist. It's been proven time and time again. The man had Mein Kampf on his bedside table that he would read at night. Enough to let you know where he stands on that. Just more outrageous, racist things from Donald Trump. They want to arrest those who can do the farm work, well, until their backs give out. And then he'll probably ship them to El Salvador or some other country. Just more vile statements from the president and let you know where he stands.
When they were arresting people for praying outside of abortion clinics. I mean, I do think the UK, and I say this as, someone who is half English, I think it's like reached, or it is quickly reaching a point where democratic reforms are going to be pretty tough because of the demographic change. And that, of course, the point of importing all these people is to overwhelm the people who live there who disapprove of the program. So you don't have to care what they think because you just bring in new people and their will becomes like all that matters. And so I don't think you're going to fix these things through elections at some point, probably pretty soon. And I just worry a place like the UK, Canada is another, a bunch of different countries in the West are at the point where they're literally revolutionary. They are poised for revolution. And as someone who really doesn't support revolution and hates violence and hates civil war above all, I'm worried about that. I mean, I don't see how this is fixed. Starmer, who's, he's just an instrument of larger forces, but he's a poisonous character, obviously, who's really hurt your country. He's in there for, 4 more years? And so you wonder, people are going to start to get really radical in a scary way. I think this is going to happen. And the people in charge don't seem to care.
Well, you're already seeing it. You are seeing the anger beginning to manifest itself, and I completely understand the anger. I don't like you. I abhor any form of violence, but I do understand the anger when you have, Keir Starmer campaigned, I'm going to smash the gangs that allow these little boats to come over the channel, delivering tens of thousands of people illegally into the country. And they then get put into these so-called asylum hotels where they're given a pretty good lifestyle, certainly a far better lifestyle than many people really struggling at the moment in the UK. And of course, far from smashing the gangs, it turned out yesterday that he's smashing new records for the number of people coming in illegally on the boats. Of course. It's out of control. And the British public are reaching a point of saying, we are done with people coming in illegally and being treated better in a more comfortable and more luxurious manner than we treat our own people.
Well, the whole point is to humiliate and degrade the indigenous population of the British Isles, the white population. I mean, that's the whole point. And are they really
public are reaching a point of saying, we are done with people coming in illegally and being treated better in a more comfortable and more luxurious manner than we treat our own people.
Well, the whole point is to humiliate and degrade the indigenous population of the British Isles, the white population. I mean, that's the whole point. And are they really going to do something about it? What would that be exactly? You'd really have to force a lot of people to go back to their countries of origin, millions of people, and you need to do it really soon. And Are they actually willing to do that? I don't know, but these are existential questions that we have been browbeat into ignoring for decades. But the question is like, is Ireland Ireland? If it's majority non-Irish, oh, shut up, they're Irish. No, they're actually not Irish. Same with the UK, same with England, Scotland, Wales. Like, it's all changing so fast. Nothing like this has ever happened in all of history, except when, say, the Mongols swept across the steppe and raped everybody. Like, that was true demographic change on this scale. But even that wasn't as profound as what we're seeing in every white country around the world. I would say the West, but Australia and New Zealand also. So, like, what is that? Now, my brain is not big enough to understand what that is. I have a lot of theories about it, but I don't know if they're true. All I know is what the numbers are. And that's real. And no one feels that he can say it. Everyone's like, oh, well, if that were happening in China or India or Malaysia or Senegal, it doesn't matter. You'd be like, what the hell is that? Like, the population's totally different. Look at graduation. Pick, I don't know, King's College Law School, and look at the graduation picture for the last 30 years. Who's in it? Just like, let your eyes tell you the truth for once. Like, this is a total change in population. Is it better? Is it worse? Can't have that conversation. Who's pushing this? Does the population want it? The population clearly doesn't want it. There's no polling that's meaningful on the subject. I mean, there's no referendum on it. You don't get to decide. You've got no voice in it, other than you get to go to jail if you complain loudly enough about it. What is this? I think it's the biggest and darkest thing that has happened in the last 1,000 years, for sure. And I think it's leading somewhere really, really bad. It's not happening by accident, that's obvious, because it's only happening in white countries.
I mean, I think that...
Oh, shut up, white supremacist. Well, in fact, I'm not a white supremacist.
Well,
I'm just noticing what the hell's going on.
I think most people I've spoken to about this in the UK, most people have always viewed the UK to be a very tolerant, multicultural, cosmopolitan place to live. That's why so many people want to come here. And people have no problem with that. And it's been very successful for a long period of time.
But it's multicultural? What does that mean?
We have a lot of different people from different countries, different cultures, and it's always worked historically.
So is Sharia law in a multicultural country, is Sharia law... What does that mean?
We have a lot of different people from different countries, different cultures, and it's always worked historically.
So is Sharia law in a multicultural country, is Sharia law every bit as valid as English common?
No, people don't want Sharia law here. No.
A lot of people do. Wait, hold on. I don't know what you mean. Multiculturalism itself is a lie designed to subvert a society. No, a society has a culture. You can argue about what it is or ought to be. It's not necessarily the same as race. It's connected to race, but it's not the same. People from different races can buy into your culture. That was kind of the beauty of the West. But a multicultural society is not sustainable. There's never been such a thing. Is one culture will dominate.
Hang on, Tucker. Surely the United States of America, given the very way it was created, is the epitome of a multicultural society. And my point I was going to make to you was...
It's absolutely not. No. It's a multiracial society.
Yeah.
Though it was not actually a multiracial society up until pretty recent. It was just like 90% white for most of its existence, but whatever. But you did have different peoples, you had different religions. That was all totally fine, but there was one culture, as American culture. There's no such thing as a multicultural society. It's not sustainable. One culture will overwhelm the other. Again, it's not the same as race. It's not identical to race. It's connected, but it's not the same. But multiculturalism is by definition insane. No, it's never happened. It never will happen. One culture will predominate. It will impose its values on everybody else. I mean, the gay thing, which was not a thing 40 years ago, gay was a slur, all of a sudden becomes multiculture there. There's one culture, and it's required. And that's true in every society, because a culture is a commonly agreed upon set of values, which in their firmest form are called laws.
But those values can evolve.
This is true everywhere.
But those values can evolve.
Of course they evolve, but there's only one set of them. It's not multicultural. There's one set. You worship one God in every society. Sorry.
But your country's values were established by the United States Constitution, and that's had, 26, 27 amendments? Right. So your own values, as determined by the founding fathers, they have evolved and been changed to accommodate changing times.
There's no doubt. Look, I'm not even arguing against change. That's natural. It's natural that people's views evolve.
So the culture changes.
Once you start rejecting the laws of nature, then you're doomed. But let me just say, no, of course, societies change. I get it. All I'm saying, I'm making a very discrete, specific point, which is multiculturalism as an idea is laughably stupid. It has never worked. We never had it anywhere, and it never will exist because it's contrary to human nature. One culture, one way of looking at things, one worldview will predominate, and it will punish all who deviate from it. That is the nature of societies. So if you're telling me it's
determined by the founding fathers, they have evolved and been changed to accommodate changing time.
There's no doubt. Look, I'm not even arguing against change. That's natural. It's natural that people's views evolve.
So those values can evolve.
There's one culture, and it's required. And that's true in every society because a culture is a commonly agreed upon set of values, which in their firmest form are called laws.
But those values can evolve.
This is true everywhere.
But those values can evolve.
Of course they evolve, but there's only one set of them. It's not multicultural. There's one set. You worship one God in every society. Sorry.
But your country's values were established by the United States Constitution, and that's had, what is it, 26, 27 amendments, right? So your own values, as determined by the founding fathers, they have evolved and been changed to accommodate changing time.
There's no doubt. Look, I'm not even arguing against change. Natural that people's views evolve.
So the culture changes.
Once you start rejecting the laws of nature, then you're doomed. But let me just say, no, of course, societies change. I get it. All I'm saying, I'm making a very discrete, specific point, which is multiculturalism as an idea is laughably stupid. It has never worked. We never had it anywhere, and it never will exist because it's contrary to human nature. One culture, one way of looking at things, one worldview will predominate, and it will punish all who deviate from it. That is the nature of societies. So if you're telling me it's multicultural, we can all live and like have radically different values, that's just not true. It's never been true. It never will be true. So you're having one culture, one worldview predominate over another and dominate and suppress all dissent. Like that's just what it is, dude.
But
Let's be honest.
I would point to the United States of America and the United Kingdom as two shining examples, albeit not completely without their flaws, but shining examples of places that are deemed by the rest of the certainly feel that about my country.
Well, I certainly think that inherent in Christianity is the notion of tolerance, and that draws from a core Christian concept, which is free will. You cannot force someone to convert. There's never been conversion by the sword in Christianity. People decide to believe in it. And so that is central to the religion, therefore it's been central to the society. Western civilization is Christian civilization. And so we call that tolerance. It's a respect for your inherent God-given right to make a choice about what you believe. Okay, so of course, that's always been a feature. My only point is, a society has a commonly agreed upon set of beliefs, rules, and laws that are the definition of the society itself. That's what a society is. So you can't have competing. You can't have, gay world and Sharia world living co-equally in a society. That does not happen. It will never happen. You have to pick one. Are we the Sharia society? Are we the party time gay rights society? Like, which one? And you can't face that reality. So you're just sort of snoozing along until the inevitable point where you're going to wake up and be like, my values have no bearing on what our society is anymore because we've been invaded by other people with a totally different worldview and they're now in charge. And that day is coming very soon for your country and maybe it'll improve it. I don't think the UK could be a lot worse than it already is. It's this kind of disgusting, sad, self-hating, suicidal island that was once great. It kills me to see it as a half English person, but that day is coming. It will change. You will either decide to be Western or Eastern. That's a choice that we're all going to face. I don't want to face that choice, but it's being foisted upon us by the architect. That's a choice that we're all going to face. Suicidal island that was once great. It kills me to see it as a half English. That day is coming. It will change. You will either decide to be Western or Eastern. That's a choice that we're all going to face. I don't want to face that choice, but it's being foisted upon us by the architects of mass migration. Sorry.
I would question your characterization as my country as a sad, disgusting, what's the rest of it, suicidal nation. I feel none of those things. I feel very happy to be in the United Kingdom, and I feel that there are lots of very happy.
Our system, the Western system, which is very distinct from the Eastern system, very distinct, and it's distinct on this one precise point, we believe, and have always believed since this country was founded, since your country became, not a pure monarchy, but even when it was a pure monarchy, the belief in the West, because of Christianity, was the worst thing you can do is punish the innocent. That's the worst thing you can do. That's worse than not punishing the guilty. And we often said that to each other. We no longer say that because there is a pretty concerted effort to blur the meaning of these terms. But I'm not going to be deterred from defining words precisely. Terror is murdering people, killing people, punishing people who committed no crime. Period.
So when the Israeli government says it has repeatedly that even though over 20,000 completely innocent children are believed to have died in their response to what Hamas did on October the 7th at the hands of the IDF, there are many on the pro-Palestinian side who say that Israel is behaving like terrorists too in the way that they have gone about conducting this war. Would you go as far as to say that?
One of the things that I really object to now is this relentless focus on Israel, which, by the way, is a foreign country that I have nothing to do with.
We've done this before. Now, maybe today things are different, and we will end up living in a nation that is sharply divided and may ultimately produce something else. But I'm an American. I love my country. I want to see it stay together. I'm interested in social cohesion, which means that I think our laws, customs, and culture have to be dominant. We can accept some diversity on the edges, but not fundamental division. I think we're in a state of fundamental division. So when I bring up Sharia law, I've sat in many discussions with many people that said, well, I don't care what people look like, but I do care about Sharia law, and I don't want that practiced anywhere near my family or in my country. And that's something you should be aware of. So the notion that someone can come here and say, well, that's part of my religion and we're going to abide by Sharia law, they're going to find serious resistance and opposition in the country.
And as I clarified,
It's because it matters. It's this thing we call societal cohesion. Nations do not exist on their own. They have a core population. Our core population from the very beginning was always at least 80% European and Christian, and about 15 to 20% African. But when you start bringing in huge numbers, millions, who are fundamentally different from the core population, you are going to get violence, anger, and conflict. How many times have you heard people say, if you bring people in from the developing world, what do you get? The developing world. And now we've got that. You can't bring in hundreds of thousands of people from Somalia, plant them, of all places, in Minnesota, and then be shocked that, no, they're not Americans. They're not really interested in being Americans. They're foreigners living on American soil. Nobody wants to say that publicly. If you do, oh, well, you're a racist. Well, the world is full of racists. The real war that's going to decide our fate is not going to be fought anywhere overseas. It's going to be fought right here inside the United States. Are we going to survive as a republic, as an English-speaking republic that rests on the foundations of Western civilization? Or are we going to become something else?
One point that is
The Constitution was completed in 1789. I think we had 5 million people living in the 13 British colonies. We were 90% white, that is excluding the Africans that were in the country who had been brought here as slaves. But we were 90% white. We were 90% Protestant. and this may be hard for you to believe, but the people that wrote that were trying to protect all of the Protestant sects from a state church on the model of the Church of England and the Roman Catholic Church. That's one of the reasons it was almost 100 years or more after that before people began to finally accept Catholicism as a religion, because it was viewed as political power. My point to you is the Constitution is outdated. The way we are governed is outdated. It has to be re-examined. Nobody in 1789 imagined that anybody would come to the United States except another lunatic, religious fanatical Protestant who hated the Church of England. That's what people feared. That's what they thought of. The Constitution that we have does many good things, but I would argue that the Bill of Rights is ultimately more important. The Bill of Rights is vital and essential, and that needs to be defended. But the Constitution and the way we govern and the things that we're doing, it's out of date. It doesn't fit our needs. And that's back to my comment on something given has no value. You have to earn it. And we haven't made anybody earn their place in this country. I'm talking about people like me that have been here forever. My first ancestor stepped off the boat in 1681. So we've got to get back to some notion of national service, because national service promotes national integration. It addresses some of these problems that you're discussing. Now, I know that you may not want to conform and may not want to be as I am, but I'm an American and nobody questions that. Nobody ever will. If you don't want to stand out and be questioned, then I suggest that you change your appearance, because I don't think it's life or death for you to wear what you wear.
I think this conversation,
it's not fine, because it's leading to violence that could have otherwise been avoided. You see, every great nation, every large nation can always accept some number of people into its ranks that are different from them. It's always been the case. But if you suddenly import millions, which is what's happened here and happened in Europe, then you threaten the core gene pool. What I'm trying to tell you is there's a problem. And we can all pretend that there isn't, and you can insist there isn't, but that's the view. And I think it's incumbent upon all of us to address it truthfully and openly. Stop pretending it's not a problem. It's a problem.
I mean, what's also a problem is white supremacy, and that's
no, because you're saying you're different, you're going to remain different, and you don't think that if that's not compatible with being an American, then the hell with it. That's what you're going to do.
Well, then what do you make then of, white American people who convert, let's say, to Islam and choose to cover? Are they not American anymore?
Listen, if they want to do that, that's obviously their business. I don't know how many are out there that do that. I think again, it's ill-advised. I think you have to hold the society together. There has to be an agreement on certain things, customs, culture, way of life. And unfortunately, if you're going to practice rigidly a brand of Islam that demands certain things, and this is why I asked right off the bat, do you support Sharia law?
I'm a Muslim. What being a Muslim means is I follow the guidelines of my religion, which is a peaceful
Does your religion dictate to you Sharia law?
My religion dictates to me to be a good human being, to be good to my neighbors, to
that the most powerful force in today's Republican Party is represented by what Charlie Kirk said. It is this drive to make America a white Christian nation. I got to tell you, this is what they say privately. This is now what they say publicly. This is what Charlie Kirk said publicly.
And Joe, again, one of the reasons I wanted to have you on, because you know these people very, very well. Yeah. You said it yourself. You were one of the strongest voices. You were one of the folks who understood the incendiary language when you were in Congress, when you had your radio show, and how people loved when you did it. And then when you chose to apologize for that and turn away from it, oh my God, they literally have just tried to destroy you because of that.
Yeah, again, you know the deal, Roland, right? I came out publicly against Trump 7 years. For 7 years, I put up with death threats on a regular basis. Nobody is welcome in that party unless you bow down to what this force is, this MAGA force. And again, look, there have been some people on the left who've celebrated Charlie Kirk's murder. Shame on them, be better people. But this is much worse, Roland, what my former friends are doing on the right, because they are turning this into a holy war. When you say we declare war on the left because of what some 22-year-old young guy did in Utah, and then you declare war on the whole left, that's a lot worse than celebrating Charlie Kirk's murder, because that's dishonest, but that's also inciting hate and violence. And Roland, look, Trump's an idiot. So yeah, Trump says the left, the problem in the country is the left. J.D. Vance is not an idiot. What did J.D. Vance say today, right? He was subbing for Charlie Kirk on his radio show, and he spent the entire show going after the left, going after them, they, them. Man, Democrats need to wake up, Roland. This is a really serious deal by my former colleagues. The stuff that I hear privately from them right now, Roland, for the last 5 days, I mean, they want to go to war. This is a holy war.
Oh, it absolutely is. And what really jumps out at me on this very thing here, Joe, and I've been saying this, I played the speech 2 weeks ago that mainstream media just ignored, of Missouri Senator Eric Schmidt, who gave a speech at NatCon, Peter Thiel's group, where he literally gave a white nationalist speech, where he said our ancestors fought for this country to be ours and no one else. He was talking about white people. He was basically saying, if you are Black, Latino, Asian American, or even Native American, America is not for you. And folks just ignored it. And so people need to understand, again, what they're saying, why they're saying it. And yes, there are many evangelicals, any very conservative white Christians who are pushing this as well. And you nailed it. They want a holy war. They want a race war. They want this to be a white country. It is clear as day.
And Roland, really important point. Charlie Kirk, at only 31, the impact he had, because he was one of the most successful pushers of this white Christian nationalistic idea. And so I think that's why all of his defenders are out there so strenuously denying he said anything divisive, because they know if you really go through Charlie Kirk's public record, everything he said about people of color and Black women and Muslims and gays and transgenders, if people took the time to go through all of that, and that was put out for average people to see, they'd be blown away by it. That's why his defenders are like supercharged right now. They don't want that record to be seen.
Today, you mentioned, and I mentioned as well, Vice President J.D. Vance sitting to do his show. And listen to this man just blatantly lie, Joe. Play it.
I read a story in The Nation magazine about my dear friend, Charlie Kirk. Now, The Nation isn't a fringe blog. It's a well-funded, well-respected magazine whose publishing history goes back to the American Civil War. George Soros's Open Society Foundation funds this magazine, as does the Ford Foundation and many other wealthy titans of the American progressive movement. The writer accuses Charlie of saying, and I quote, "Black women do not have brain processing power to be taken seriously." But if you go and watch the clip, the very clip she links to, you realize he never said anything like that. He never uttered those words. He made an argument against affirmative action as a policy. He criticized a specific Supreme Court justice as an individual. He never said anything about black women as a group. He made an argument for judging people of all races and backgrounds by their own individual merits.
Bullshit.
Okay, Joe, this is actually what he said.
No, Roland, that's utter bullshit.
In fact, if we would have said 3 weeks ago, Blake, if we would have said that Joy Reid and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson were affirmative action picks, we would have been called the racist. But now they're coming out and they're saying it for us. They're coming out and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously. Play cut 52.
But I rise today as a clear recipient of affirmative action, particularly in higher education. I may have been admitted on affirmative action, both in terms of being a woman and a woman of color.
All right, Joe. He literally said it. Not only that, Vance lied. Soros does not fund the nation. So he sat there and flat out lied.
And Roland, remind me, what's J.D. Vance's job? He's the vice president, and yet he had time today to do a radio show for a former right-wing podcaster. I mean, look what they're not even, Roland, they're not even subtle about it, what this White House is doing. They believe, man, the path to victory is fear, hate, and division. And that's what they're putting out there. That was Charlie Kirk literally going after 4 accomplished black women by saying they didn't have the brain power to get where they got. This is what he believed. And this is what MAGA believes. And that, again, Roland, broken record, that's why Charlie Kirk was so damn successful. Why he had such a big audience.
Yeah, and not only that, you take Nick Fuentes, who's to the right of Charlie Kirk. The night of or the day after Kirk was shot and killed, Fuentes had 200,000 people watching him live. And so what you have this fervor. And so when I listen to Trump and Vance and all these people talk about, how the left, they're indoctrinating. No, and you know this very well, the indoctrination. We've had people who formerly with Turning Point USA put out videos talking about how it was really this cult-like figure, this messianic figure, as they sort of set Kirk up as, and how they want them to follow that. And so that's what's going on here. These people are not trying to have open dialogue. And not only that, Joe, you take Trump, okay? Trump was very clear in saying he was not going to call Governor Tim Walz after those 4 folks were shot in Minnesota. 2 were killed, including former Speaker of the House and her husband. Now today he's saying, he never even heard of Melissa Hortman, and if the governor had asked him, he would have, of course, lowered the flags to have staff. I'm sorry, he's also lying. He knew about her. He knew about the shooting, but he was so arrogant that he said, 2 Democrats, a Democrat Speaker of the House shot and killed. Yeah, I don't care, but lower the flags to have staff with Charlie Kirk, fly his body on Air Force Two, do a memorial service at the Kennedy Center, do another one at the Arizona Cardinal Stadium, give him the Medal of Freedom, and I'm telling you, they're going to give him a state funeral. That's what you're seeing right now. And then you got Peter Hegseth going after members of the military who said anything negative in the aftermath of his death. You've got Kirk supporters creating a database of people of every social media post, and then even Van said in the podcast, you call their employer. So the so-called free speech people all of a sudden are saying, if you say anything negative about Charlie Kirk after what took place last week, we're going to come after you, come after your job. Oh, I thought they hated cancel culture, Joe.
Yeah. Roland, I remember back in my right-wing radio days, I would come on every day, and there was always some story about some leftist group on a college campus that couldn't handle speech that made them uncomfortable
to say.
Roland, this is scary, and you and I are old enough, man, to remember huge figures in American history who were gunned down, struck down, military leaders, civil rights leaders. We are treating this 31-year-old podcaster, MAGA influencer, like he's Jesus Christ. So I come from the right. Why are my old colleagues and friends on the right doing this, Roland? Because the right wants a religious war. Let's just call it. They want a civil war. They want a holy war. That's why they're putting him up to be some Jesus-like martyr.
Absolutely. I mean, Glenn Beck literally came out and said he was a civil rights leader. Oh, my God, stop it. Stop it. I've seen people say, I've seen a lot of these videos, I'm leaving my church because my pastor did not mention him. This was a Christian warrior. And let's just be clear. You said it, white Christian nationalists. It's slaveholder religion. We heard a lot of this stuff during slavery, during Jim Crow, things along those lines. And this whole idea about, it was about debate. It was about, exchange of ideas. I mean, come on, let's just stop it. And so we see what's going on here. We see the games that are being played. And then what gets me, Joe, is this whole deal of, oh my God, the left, how they indoctrinated him and the accused killer going to a university. The dude was at a university for one semester, Joe. You're trying to tell me that one semester at a mostly white institution in Mormon, Utah, which is not a liberal bastion, somehow just radicalized him? I mean, it really is showing folks of the hand they're trying to play.
Yeah, and I think even on top of that, Roland, I think it was like some technical school. So it wasn't some crazy liberal arts school for a semester. Look, cut through all the BS. The Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, has publicly said that America should be a white Christian country. This is what animates my former party. Roland, you know me, right? Tea Party Hellraiser. I don't come from the left. I left the Republican Party when the Republican Party became MAGA. And my fellow Democrats and folks on the left need to understand, now these people are on the right. Now this is MAGA. MAGA now are the snowflakes. MAGA, Roland, they now need their safe spaces. It's funny, but it's not funny. And you're right about J.D. Vance, man. He just flat out lied. I mean, the last 30-year history of political violence in this country, the vast majority of it is right-wing. It always has been. And they put out this lie that it's only on the left. It's not even, Roland, a both sides problem between the left and the right. There is political violence on the left, but the vast majority is on the right, and they know that, and they're lying because they're trying to inflame their base. And Roland, I hear from their base every day, and let me tell you something, they are inflamed. I mean, they are ready to march and grab their you-know-what. This is a scary time.
It is, and folks need to understand what is certainly at stake. Joe Walsh, I appreciate you joining us on the show.
History of the cross, known by their works. What's the history of the cross? 500-year history of the cross. Murder, rape, destruction, deception, enslavement, burning, terrorizing. To maintain a slavery system, you must terrorize the people 24/7. They terrorize people from Africa and America for 400 years. Constant terror, 24/7. Rape, murder. In the name of Jesus. This was Christians, not Buddhists, not Hindus. Christians, in the name of Jesus, when they said Jesus cursed black people, they call them Ham, cursed them to be slaves and persecuted forever. In the name of Jesus, raped our women incessantly, pissed in our mouths, made us eat shit. And they took and tried to clean up, not clean it up, but make it look more fashionable, I guess, by calling it chitlins. That's after slavery, of course, after so-called slavery. Because what was endured was not slavery. Look up slavery. Look up slavery. It does include murder, rape, terror. This is a Holocaust. And then now they try to downplay it. Oh, that was 400 years ago. No, it wasn't 40 years ago. I don't care if it was a million years ago. It was 40 years ago. It lasts for 400 years. And it's enduring today. They took everything away from the slaves, everything. Their name, their culture, their families, their religion, their minds, everything. Fed their children to alligators as alligator bait. And then they talk about what's going on in Gaza when they did 1,000 times worse. What's going over in Gaza now is simply just a miniature version of what they did. What they did was far worse than what's going on in Gaza. Gaza's bad. It's genocide. What they did was far worse and much longer. That's the legacy of Christianity. Murder, rape, disease. They wiped out the native population with genocide and disease. Smallpox blankets, knowing they was full with disease, herpes, syphilis, gonorrhea from sleep with animals. So-called common cold was not common. Didn't exist here on this side of the world until they brought it here. Murder, rape. When they was raping out women, they had a cross hanging from their neck. And again, they taught black, and this was God's will. God's will. The enslavement of our people. And they continue on even today. That's the legacy of Christianity, the cross. So where's your rap sheet? Every time they arrest one of our people, your rap sheet. What's your rap sheet? How are you going to judge people for murder when you're guilty of murder beyond imagination for hundreds of years? Hundreds of years. Theft. You stole this land and murdered its people. And you crushed the native people here. When the braves would go out hunting, you would come into the camps like cowards and kill the women and smash the children's brains out on the hooves of your horses. This is the legacy of Christianity. That's the legacy of it. The question is, if instead of Columbus coming here, Dracula came here, Beelzebub, Wolfman, Frankenstein, Satan, and they all came instead of Columbus. What could they have done that Columbus and those that followed him did? Satan is the God of this world. That's the God they're serving. They have known him by their works. What are the works of Christianity? What are the works of Christianity? Where's the works of Christianity? Evil, deception, mischief, bloodshedding. It goes on today. And what's going on in Gaza, just reflection and microcosm of what was done here in America for hundreds of years. Raped out women incessantly. They would even rape while they was out in the fields picking cotton. They would jump off their horse and tell them to bend over and rape them. And tell them to keep picking cotton while they was doing it. This is the kind of stuff that they would do. Make one slave defecate and slave and slave in the mouth of another slave, and then bound it up so they couldn't spit it out for 7 days. That's a legacy of slavery. You did it all in the name of Jesus. That's a legacy of slavery. Legacy of slavery. 40 years plus. Legacy of Christianity. Legacy of the cross. That's the legacy. That's the true legacy. So whose works are those? Who are you serving? Who are you serving? The legacy of the cross. Where's your rap sheet, America? Gog? Where's your rap sheet, Magog? Britain? Where's your mayship? Where's your rap sheet? Antichrist, false Israel? What's your rap sheet? Then they colonized Africa. They're stealing for ripping off everyone. That's the legacy of Christianity. It's been ruling for over 500 years. And now, the threat of nuclear war to finish off everything. That's a legacy of Christianity in the name of your Jesus.
make it. Surely you ain't talking about us packing our bags and going westward or going out there in the land. Ain't no cities, no towns, no infrastructure out there. Surely you ain't talking about that, are you? No. We ain't going back to Africa. No. This is your land. Our sweat, our tears, our blood has earned us the right to the land. What God wants you to do is come out of their ways. Come out of their pagan holidays where you should be honoring Jesus. You are out here buying bunny rabbits and inviting your children to paint eggs for some Easter hunt. Come out of her. Get the Santa Claus out of your house and a tree that is the way of the pagans. Come out of her. St. Valentine's Day. The heck is that? Excuse me. Come out of her name. Come out of her religion. Come out of her culture. Come out of her way of life. Come out of her educational system.
Put it back to their people. When they was put off on the shores of North America. And the ship, Jesus, that John Hawkins brought our best hero. They stood and stared at it disappearing in the horizon, crying, wanting to return. With their hands stretched out towards that ship and tied in chains themselves bound together. And when they was put off on this memorable shows, they stood there staring at that ship that brought them to a strange land and a strange people who could not speak either one's language. Now they have to live in a strange country and a strange people who had proven to them every mile from their native land that they were going to be the worst enemies that they ever lived with. They were going to be the people that would destroy them. They soon discovered that on this ship that they were being brought here on. I don't know how we should say anything in the name of Jesus of good for us when this ship was named Jesus. This is how that we have always been deceived by the white man, trying to use Jesus, the name Jesus, to lull us off in a mental sleep, thinking that we are on our way to heaven. This is terrible. My beloved brothers and sisters, this is very hard for us to even to accept today. Imagine our parents standing crying to return to their native land and people, and you here today crying to stay with the very enemy that brought our our fathers in subjection to their will, you are now turning your face from your own native land and turning it back towards our own prison house and our own enemies who have destroyed us and seeks to further destroy us. How do you feel? How do you feel? Not wanting to return to your people. They are trying to make love with the very people that destroyed you and your parents. How do you feel acting such? And even today, they are beating and shooting you down throughout the country. There is no justice here for you and me. Why should not you want to be separated and be returned to your own? I ask you that question. Think over your parents on the eastern shore of North America, crying and praying to God to be returned to their own 400 years ago. How would they like, or you like to see them rise up in the judgment condemning you for being such fools as now want to live in the land that absolutely enslaved them and killed them and beat them for 300 long years here. They would condemn you as being fools for not wanting to be separated and go to your own, build up a nation for yourself after the white man say you are free. Remember that.
and going westward or going out there in the land, ain't no cities, no towns, no infrastructure out there. Surely you ain't talking about that, are you? No. We ain't going back to Africa. No. This is your land. Our sweat, our tears, our blood has earned us the right to the land. What God wants you to do is come out of their ways. Come out of their pagan holidays where you should be honoring Jesus. You are out here buying bunny rackets and inviting your children to paint eggs for some Easter hunt. Come out of her. Get the Santa Claus out of your house and a tree that is the way of the pagans. Come out of her. St. Valentine's Day. The heck is that? Excuse me. Come out of her name. Come out of her religion. Come out of her culture. Come out of her way of life. Come out of her educational system.
Put it back to their people. When they was put off on the shores of North America. And this ship, Jesus, that John Hawkins brought our best hero. They stood and stared at it disappearing in the horizon, crying, wanting to return, with their hands stretched out towards that ship, and tied in chains themselves bound together. And when they was put off on this memorable shows, they stood there staring at that ship that brought them to a strange land and a strange people who could not speak either one's language. Now they have to live in a strange country and a strange people who had proven to them every mile from their native land that they were going to be the worst enemies that they ever lived with. They were going to be the people that would destroy them. They soon discovered that on this ship that they were being brought here on. I don't know how we should say anything in the name of Jesus of good for us when this ship was named Jesus. This is how that we have always been deceived by the white man, trying to use Jesus, the name Jesus, to lull us off in a mental sleep, thinking that we are on our way to heaven. This is terrible. My beloved brothers and sisters, this is very hard for us to even to accept today. Imagine our parents standing crying to return to their native land and people, and you here today crying to stay with the very enemy that brought our fathers in subjection to their will. You and I. your face from your own native land and turning it back towards our own prison house and our own enemies who have destroyed us and seeks to further destroy us. How do you feel? How do you feel? Not wanting to return to your people. They are trying to make love with the very people that destroyed you and your parents. How do you feel acting such? And even today, they are beating and shooting you down throughout the country. There is no justice here for you and me. Why is it that you want to be separated and be returned to your own? I ask you that question. Think over your parents on the eastern shore of North America, crying and praying to God to be returned to their own 400 years ago. How would they like, or you like to see them rise up in the judgment, condemning you for being such fools as now want to live in the land that absolutely enslaved them and killed them and beat them for 300 long years here. They would condemn you as being fools for not wanting to be separated and go to your own, build up a nation for yourself after the white man say you were free. Remember that.
Assalamu alaikum, sisters and brothers. Sulman Rahim here, Veteran of Covenant. Okay, brothers, since it's been a year now, and we're finally home after 40 years in Arabia. I'm reporting to you from Arabia. found a home after 40 years. Right? And so we've been here a year now. And there was an agreement made. A former slave master, he said, we had a choice. Stay here or leave. Right? So we chose our inheritance, Arabia. So we left. And half the original people decided they wanted to give up their inheritance and trade it for a place in America in reconciliation with their former slave master. That's their choice. They chose, said, we don't want to go over to Arabia. We don't go to where it's sand and all that stuff. We want to stay here in America. We've been here all our lives, been here 40 years, born here, right? And we can make peace with our slave master. Okay, so they decided to stay. And so after a year, right, we get reports of how things are going over there. And it doesn't sound too good. How things are going over in America with their reparations. Because they was given, they got 6 states, I believe. Yeah, see? Yeah. Yeah, they got those 6 states right there. That's what Farrakhan told them. They was listening to Farrakhan. Farrakhan promised them, they stay there, 6 states, right? Had their own land. And they can make reconciliation with the former slave master. They're not devils. They're not devils. They're human beings. They just had a rough, they were just, did some things wrong, but now they're going to make amends and make reparations. So 6 states, and in addition to that, they gave everybody $1 million. Everybody stayed $1 million. Okay? Say, thank you, Farrakhan. They're so happy. Thank you, Farrakhan. Thank you, Farrakhan. Man, you got 6 states. That's what you promised us. We got 6 states. They're thanking you. Thank you, Farrakhan. Right? And this was a year ago. They got the 6 states. Thank you, Farrakhan. Right? Everybody got $1 million. Everybody $1 million. And they're rejoicing. Oh man, they're so happy. Hey, we came, man. We made it. We got America, man. We got reconciliation for a master. You got 6 states. Everybody got $1 million. We're all rich. That was a year ago when we left. Okay, so we're in Arabia. They're still back there in America. And now we're getting reports a year later. This was the way it was a year ago, man. They were so happy. They were so happy. Right? And now we get reports of what's going on right now. Let's see. Oops, it says a power failure. Great power failure in those 6 states. Power failure. And it's just those 6 states. Right? So, and now they have big and massive. They came asking to turn the power. Well, why can't they do it? Oh, Farrakhan didn't train anybody. He was telling you about 6 states, he never prepared you for them. So nobody knows how to do it. How to turn the power grid back on. So now he's begging, man, master, can you come and turn this thing back on for us? I mean, you would think that if he told them 6 states and promised them that he would have prepared them for it, right? Their schools and education, whatever they need for that. But I guess they didn't, because they said over there now he's begging this former master to come and turn the power back on. And then what? I mean, this is all that's happening now. I mean, I'm getting these imports in now. A year later, it's like, They're coming in every hour. Power grid failure, right? Then say, oops, crop failure. All of a sudden, there's no. They say, they looked and the farmers when they done it. Farmers said, oh. So then they had master, what's happening here? How come you know? Right? Our crop. They found that the land they gave them wasn't that fertile. A year later, nothing's growing. Crop failure. And now they master, what's happening here? Right? And then, I mean, all these things, every hour that's coming in, right? And then they look, you know, and they had, you know, a year ago, they had plenty of food on the shelves, right? And now, they look there now, and all the food's gone. It's gone. And she said, what am I going to do here? Food's gone. The house is empty. So he said, Master, we need some food. Well, how come you can't produce your own food? I mean, you want your own country. You got your own states. That's your country. Then you run it. What are you calling us for? Right? So they've been praying. And then, oops, no fuel. There's Master, no fuel there. Well, you got to buy your fuel. You got to produce your own fuel. What you calling us for? You got your own 6 states now. What you calling us for? Go and get some fuel. You got money, right? You got your own states. So you got to get your own. What you calling us for? You said you wanted your own, so now you got it. And you got your reparation, so we don't owe you anything anymore. We don't owe you anything anymore, so what you calling us for? We don't owe you anything. You said you agreed to 6 states and $1 million per person. You took that instead of your inheritance, what you call the Abrahamic covenant, Arabia. You know, your brothers and sisters, they left, they took that was offered to them, they took it. And you said, no, I want this instead. So now you got it. So what you calling us for? Oh, no communications. Oh, man. No communications, right? No medical facilities. So what's going on, Master? Wait a minute, hold on. That's you. What you calling us for? That's yours. You got to handle that stuff. You want us to handle it for you? You want independence, now you have it. I mean, wow, this stuff was coming every hour, man. Instead of like a year, they was celebrating. And now they crying, begging the Master, hey, we got all these problems here. I said, wait a minute, that's yours. What comes about your problems? You have to work those out. Right? No transportation, I mean, no planes, nowhere. We don't know about fly the planes and drive the trucks and the boats and stuff and to go and get this stuff. Well, what you done that for? You wanted this, you got it. So go ahead and get to train your own pilots, build your own planes, build your own boats and right? You see what I'm saying? Transportation, build your own trucks. What you calling for? Yeah, Master, we see this. You said you wanted 6 states, you got it. You want $1 million per person. That was your reparations. So then if you didn't pay people to take care of this, how's that our problem? You're independent now. You're really free now. Oops, no fuel, the gas station's empty. I can't drive, eh? And no gas. Man, wow. All this stuff happened like for a year. They thought that everything was great, and all of a sudden everything ran out. So I guess what happened? Everything was there when they got it, and then it ran out. They had to, except them to replace the fuel, to get the farms going. So they was left with that stuff. The factory was full. I mean, warehouses full. Then you had to keep. They thought that was just going. I guess they thought it was just going to be there, just by itself. They didn't prepare for it. See? And they ain't trained any engineers and scientists and architects and stuff. They ain't, business. They didn't train anybody. So Farrakhan, he told you he's gonna get this for you, but he didn't prepare you for it. He didn't get anybody to handle this stuff. So what was that all about? So now he asked the master, hey, don't call on me. You was here, you had it when you was here with me. You said you want independence, you wanted reparations, so you gave it to you. Well, call on your brothers over there. They left, they handled their own business. You said you want to stay here. Right? See? You don't have any professionals or technicians, scientists, doctors, none of that. See? I mean, that's what, because if you're going to set reparation, you should be preparing for that, right? So if he was telling you about reparation, you should be preparing for it. If he said God said that's what he's going to get you, so if God told him he's going to get that for you, then he should, like when God told Noah there was a flood coming, to only build an ark, so he started building an ark. And so you should start preparing for the 6 states and the reparations, but apparently you didn't. And so now, the devil said, look, hold it. We want total separation. Look, we don't want you to call us no more. We don't want you to call us no more. Because you're wearing us. You want your own country. You got your own land. Right? You got money, $1 million, all this stuff, right? And so now we got to protect your money and everything too? No, you have to create your own money. You have to do all these things, your own wealth, not ours. Right? So we're going to cut you off from that too. It's all economics. So they go and they tell all the people all the white folks, right? Because all the black folks, now all the black folks is either in Arabia or in those 6 states. That's the solution. You had to be one way or the other. There couldn't be no integration, all that kind of stuff. That's the deal. You just said one or the other. So all the black folks are there, ain't no integration, all that kind of stuff, right? Black folks are there, one or the other, so they're there. So he said, okay, right? So they just say, we're going to take our money because we don't know what y'all doing over here. You have your own money, you have to find your own wealth. So what they do is they tell all the white folks, say, protect your money, right? Transfer your money into gold. Transfer all your dollars into gold. Okay. Now remember, they gave everybody $1 million a piece. So everybody got $1 million a piece, right? And so they transfer it to gold. And then what happens is that what they do is they start just printing money. White folks just start printing money. You understand what that means? That's inflation. Right? Because if you got $1 million of gold, a million ounces of gold, say 1 million ounces of gold, understand this, and you got 1 million certificates, then you say each certificate is worth 1 ounce. If you got 1 million ounces, each certificate is worth 1 ounce. Understand that? If you got 1 million ounces of gold and you got 1 million certificates, each one of those certificates is worth 1 million. If you want to say trade with the certificates, each one of the certificates is worth 1 ounce of gold. Right? But if you take and print, you say you got 1 million ounces of gold and you got 1 million certificates, each one. But say you print twice as many certificates, you got 2 million. Well, then each certificate is only worth 50 cents now because you got to connect that to the gold. Well, you print 4 times, then each one is worth a quarter. So the more you print, the less they worth because those certificates has to equal what the gold is. You understand? So the more you print money, the less, right? The less they're worth. So if you print twice as much money, right, they less gold. You understand? So $1 is worth 1 ounce of gold, which that's right. Then if you print double that amount of dollars, then each one's worth half an ounce. You understand? That's what printing money without increasing the wealth does. That's inflation. So what happens is they keep printing. They get down to where $100 is worth a penny. But see, that doesn't affect their people. They told to protect their money because they transfer their money to gold. So gold still has its value. It's just the dollars don't. It still got the same amount of gold. But the dollars, they get down to a penny. So you can't buy it. You had $1 million, now your $1 million worth of $5. That's all it's worth. Maybe $1. Hardly worth anything. Hey, that's our money. You gotta have your own money, you control your own wealth. You can't keep coming to us what you're doing. And you think they wouldn't do that? Yeah, you been a Gaza lately? You see what happened to the trees they made with the so-called natives? Kept telling me you had a forked tongue because they kept making trees with them, then they broke the trees. And took their land and genocide and everything else. But no, they wouldn't do that to you. See? Because now you have, your money's worth nothing. They haven't lost anything. Because once that money's worthless, it's no good, right? Then you burn it up, throw it away, it's worth nothing. The people still got gold. And even if they take it, hold on to money, hope to increase again, they're just using a different certificate, using another form of money. So it's still worth nothing. That $1 million you had, you was so happy with it now, it's probably worth maybe $1. So you can't buy anything $1. Plus the economy's collapse because everything is failing, and you don't know how to repair it. You don't have to build communications. You don't know how to do any of this stuff. You don't have to engineer, build a house. You don't have to do anything because Farrakhan didn't. Right? He didn't prepare you. He told you he'll give you 6 days. He told you, listen to me, right? So now you're broke, and your economy is gone. You have no food, no electricity, no power, anything, right? It's not their fault. They gave you what you asked for. You saw out your inheritance for that. And then they closed the border. Because you're going to try to get back into America now. We want to come back in, Master. No, we don't want you back in here. We sorry, we want to come in. No. That's what you chose. You stay there. They closed the border, so you can't get back in here. You can't get back in America, into what you call your land now? Swaziland or something? Farrakhan. Maybe you call it Traveland. Farrakhan. They met the Farrakhan. Right? So they close the borders, you can't. Because now you're hungry and everything else, your money's worthless. Oh God, come back, Master, I'll come back work for you, I'll work for Popeyes, I'll do anything you want. No, remember, now blacks, either they over in Arabia or they in that land. There are no blacks in America, any places, just in that land, that you 6 states. And now you're starving, you ain't got no, your money's worthless, nothing works, and they close the border. Right? And then you see Master, he on the phone, you talking to the guy that you kept treating, help you. Hey, we finally got rid of them niggas. Finally got rid of them. Finally got rid of them. See on the phone. Yeah, it worked. We sold them no reparations. We sold them that used car. You turned the miles back and everything else, and they bought it. See? They could have had a BMW. They could have had a Lamborghini. They sold that for a BMW that looked good. Damn thing didn't work. And now they're starving, living in tents. Praying. So what? Then what next? What we gonna do, Farrakhan? What we gonna do, Farrakhan? You told us to take reparations, so we did. But they gave us everything we asked for. What we gonna do, Farrakhan? What we gonna do? Pray, 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 pray. That's his answer. Pray, pray, pray. That's your reparations. Like Elijah Muhammad said, he had a big picture. We leaving, and blacks staying on the shore, the ones stay behind, and those whooping their ass. Right? Because they thought you think they want to give you some land and take care of you? You think they want to do that? And go bankrupt, give everybody $1 million? How much that is? If it's 17 million, if it's 17 million times 17 million times a million is like $17 trillion, I think, something like that there. And they're going to do all that for you. They want to get rid of you. So now they've succeeded. Because they closed the border. And what you going to do? You want to fight to come out? They closed the border. They got the military around there. They finally got rid of you. No more black problem, no more Negro problem anymore. One group's out of here, another group that's here. They're gone, and our hands are clean. We gave them what they wanted. Well, anything. Okay. God honors contracts. Remember, he honored the contract with Jacob. Esau sold his birthright for a bowl of soup to Jacob, where it was Esau's inheritance, and God honored it. Okay, Jacob, it's yours. You're the one. And that's the deal. Because he ain't your friend. Farrakhan ain't your friend. Pray, pray, pray. That's the answer. And this homeland you was promised, you rejected it. So now you got what you asked for. So if they gave you reparations today or tomorrow, how would that scenario not play out like that? Well, they say, okay, you got it. Tell me how the scenario wouldn't play out like that. And tell me why they wouldn't do it. They love you so much, they're going to say, okay, we're going to take care of them. I mean, why should they go out their way to take care of you when you was right here? You was working at Popeyes and then they get up on Section 8, all that stuff right here where because they're trying to get rid of that stuff right now. Trump's trying to get rid of all that stuff right now. Because they're closing on you don't realize it. Anyway, that's just, that's what's happening over in America. Wow. Of course, come here. Disaster over there. And, oh, I just got a call. Oh, wait, hold it. Really? You serious? Our ambassador just got a call from I don't know what they call it. We call it Conland or something. I forgot what it is. Something they call it right there. That 6th day. They begged us to come and help. Can they come over here? Can we come and get them? Really? Can we come and get them and bring them? Oh, no. Now he went and asked, Master Farrakhan Muhammad, right? He said, no, hell no. We ain't going to get them. And I agree with that. Yeah, the Master said he said, let's call him, and he passed the word to Master Muhammad. Master Muhammad said, send him back. Master, no, we can't come and get you. You made your choice, live with it. Or die, whatever the situation is. Wow. I can't believe that. They actually, right, sent a message over. I don't know how they did, I don't have any communication, but somehow they got the information over to him, said, would we please come and get him? Nope. Said, no, tell him no. And don't waste time communicating with us anymore. You got your land, you got your reparations, you got your money, you got Farrakhan as your leader. Yeah, tell him, talk to him, let him straighten out for you. He didn't want to sell you the idea, he was a salesman. So you on that idea of reparations, we told you. Right? Suleiman, right? He was the messenger to you, telling you, look, man, let's go home. You said no. You chose not to. Okay, brothers and sisters, that's a sad story. But I guess that's it. Is that it? Well, if anybody getting more reports on Okay, he says that was Matthew Prophet Muhammad's final decision, and I think they closed communications off from there. So, like I said, brothers and sisters, we got those. Wow, they came in. All that came in today, man. I came in fast. After a whole year, total collapse. Now they begging it. Somebody help them. We can't do it. Maybe Master help you. We won't do it. Assalamu alaikum. Update, brothers and sisters, got another late report in that they said, well, if you want to come and get us, well, we at least send some food. They begged, said, please send some food. Master Muhammad said, we got to send them a damn thing, nothing, zero. He said, please just send some food. No, I just got that in. He says, if you can't come and get us, please send some food. He says, no. He refused. That's what I just got the information from the ambassador. He said, they sent that, and he's read to me. He says, no. He said, please, just please send us some food. He said, no way. You made your choice, case closed. Okay, just got that in, brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum.